Hey, Steve Mignani here on the Steve Maggs YouTube channel, and this is the story of when I met the king. Yes, Richard Petty. Back on July 8th, 2010, this is me and Richard Petty sitting side by side. I co-hosted a half-hour special on Petty Enterprises and the new Richard Petty race shop that he was starting up right there in North Carolina. And in that moment, he actually signed this model right here. That's his signature on the roof of this 1972 MPC Richard Petty stock car model. It's kind of busted up, and I've had this thing for a long time. I brought this with me on that day so that Richard could sign it on camera, and he did. And again, that was back on July 8th, 2010, and it was about a week after Richard Petty's 72nd birthday. Of course, Richard Petty was born on July 2nd, 1937, still with us, and one of the legends, one of the most winningest stock car racers of all time, and a heck of a guy. Got to say, I went down there with a crew. Janet DeHart, my producer, we'll show some pictures of this stuff, but Janet DeHart, me, and a cameraman whose name I've forgotten, but Richard Petty drove us around Randleman, North Carolina in a supercharged Challenger, a 2010 Challenger, one of the Richard Petty edition cars. I'm sitting in the back with the camera guy, and Janet's in the front, and Richard Petty is driving us around his neighborhood where he grew up as a kid. He went by the house where he proposed to and eloped with his wife, Linda, I think her name is, and he described how they took off one night, went and got married. He dropped her off the same night. They were married, nobody knew it, but they eloped, and just great. Richard Petty driving me around in a Challenger. It was just like an amazing thing. Now, years earlier, probably around 1988 or so, we visited the Petty compound, and I bought this record right here. Now, this was done in 1970. It's Meet Richard Petty, and basically it's a record describing Petty's accomplishments and various things. On the back, we have some data. And the record itself, I have to say, I've never listened to. I don't have a record player, so I still have the record. It's unscratched, unplayed, but it's a neat piece of history. Again, 1970 it was made. I bought it when it was 18 years old in 1988 or so at Petty's Randleman, North Carolina compound. But being promoted by Plymouth, here it is right here with the 1971 Mopars, and just great stuff filled with pictures from Petty's racing past, and just great stuff. But again, Meet Richard Petty. You can find these on eBay. They're usually 40 or 50 bucks. They must have made a lot of these things back in the day, I would imagine, because they were selling them commonly in 1988. Of course, that was a while ago, so I don't know if they're still around. But as a kid, I was a huge Richard Petty fan. Of course, this is the Johan Richard Petty stock car model right here. Pretty much stock right out of the box. In fact, this one is molded in this weird sort of, I don't know, aqua green color. Hardly Petty's electric blue, but Johan, well, anything was possible with Johan. And I took one of these things and I rebuilt it into a what-if altered wheelbase funny car, and here we see it right here. The difference being, of course, the altered wheelbase on the one that I built back around 1985 or so, the blue one on the bottom. And of course, I put a supercharged Hemi in it and changed out the chassis. We can see the Johan chassis on this side is the plate type promo deal. Mine, I used the MPC Dukes of Hazzard chassis and shortened it up so I could basically have more realism. But again, the altered wheelbase version or stock, I don't know, to me the altered wheelbase effect makes the car look like it's lunging and getting ready to take off. But again, I built this thing way back, probably 1985 or something like that, a few years before I went and I actually visited the Richard Petty compound in 1988 and got this and the record. And who knew that in 2010 I would actually meet the king, Richard Petty. It was an honor to do that. But again, Richard Petty alive and well and one of the greats of NASCAR racing history, and what an honor it was to meet him and to be chauffeured around his town in, of all things, a Hemi Challenger. Who knew they'd be making those things back in the 80s when I was thinking front-wheel drive was as good as it got. But here we are now in 2022. The Challenger is still going strong, launched in 2008, and that's a platform that doesn't need any change, and I'm glad that Dodge hasn't really messed with it too much. But anyway, that's the story of the day that I met the king, Richard Petty. Long live the king. Now, if you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the Steve Maggs YouTube channel.